morning. We're on the air, folks. I want to welcome everyone to our regular open meeting of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Board of Directors, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. This is Tuesday, August 18th, 2020, 9:30 a.m. here in Laguna Woods Village. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we do have a quorum. And I'd like to ask our Vice President, Annie McCary, if she would, to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if you would all, in your mind's eye, honor the American flag as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I would ask you at this time if you turn off your electronic devices. That'll make it a little easier to communicate here. Is there any media present? We know it's going to be at a distance with our staff. Okay, don't have anyone there. Approval of the agenda, please. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Okay. All right. Any comments, questions about this that we need to take care of? Okay, hearing none, we'll consider this by unanimous consent. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of July 21st, 2020?
I so moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Second.
Any comments, questions about that? The approval of the minutes of July 21st. Okay, hearing no comments, we'll consider this under unanimous consent as well. Okay, report of the chair. Good morning, everybody. We have some neat things to talk about today, I think. I'll just go over some of the topics that other people are going to be talking about more in depth. Power outages. I know that it's affected us this week over where I am near Gate 10. Other people, I'm sure, have been affected by this, so we'll get an update on that. Remember, folks, that this Thursday at 10 a.m., we're going to have a budget meeting, and it's going to be televised, so be sure you tune in on that with us. More to follow. Our treasurer will be talking about that a little bit more. Landscape, we're going to have a special presentation right after my comments here, as well as a report to follow. We also have introduction of some new staff that we just recently hired, and our CEO, Jeff Parker, is going to be introducing them, coming up at his comments shortly. Want to thank everybody for wearing masks. It's really helping. A lot of people are in compliance, and we thank you so much for that. Really gives me a good feeling to know that people are watching out for me as I am watching out for them by wearing a mask. So we thank you so much for that. Okay, that's all I had for this. More to come, but I'll turn this over to Director Jarrett for a landscape presentation.
Good morning, Mr. President, and good morning, board and residents. Today, I'm giving a landscape update, and actually, no one asked me to do this, and I did it on my own because I'll tell you why. Mr. James Tung, when he was on the third board, my predecessor, he gave presentations quite often. So I thought, oh my gosh, I have to give a presentation. So this is really long overdue. But before I start, I want to thank the committee on the board, my landscape committee, because they do a wonderful job. They really help a lot. We have the best landscape director that I can tell you I've had since I've been here for 12 years in the village. And Kurt Weeman deserves a lot of credit because he has a lot of balls up in the air, and I'm telling you, he's got a lot on his plate. So today I'm going to talk about some of those things, and I'm going to start right now. So I'll take the first slide, please. We're going to talk about the budget first. This is the budget that we had a few weeks ago. It changed by a few dollars in the past week. Who knows? It might have changed by the time I see it again on Thursday. But there's a lot of dollars here, and some of the things don't show. One of the things that doesn't show is the capital budget, because the capital is entwined in with the GRF. So they take care of the capital items, but we do have a budget for capital. Today I'm only going into the operating, and you can see where we have the administration is $336,000. The nursery and composting is $292,000. Grounds maintenance over $3 million. That's hard to say, $3 million. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of grounds to cover. And irrigation is another biggie, $1 million. Small equipment repair, 226, almost 227. And pest control, 316, and tree maintenance, 843. So it's a lot of dollars to have to work through. And I will tell you that I remember I was coming on to Rosemary Lorenzo, who's now on the VMS board. When she was on third board, her very last day that she was there at a meeting, she told us as she was leaving, her last comment was, folks, stay with the landscaping. We got to keep it up. So she was a really good inspiration to us, because she allowed James Tung, he did a wonderful job under her. So I want to first talk about the landscape modernization. Next slide. All right. This past year we did we turned the turf over into a little mini park up in gate 14, cul-de-sac 408. We were going to have a really nice ribbon cutting ceremony in March, but COVID came along, and of course we had to give that up. But I didn't have room to put a lot of pictures here today, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of what you're looking at here. This first picture is some of the younger plants that were planted, and you see the decomposed granite pathway there. The pathways right now, after everything matured, the grounds look beautiful. I just show you one picture here of the picture on the right, and it just, everything looks beautiful. And so if you haven't been there, take a drive by, because the people are really loving it. So next slide, please. So I went by 2 weeks ago, and I saw these ladies there visiting, and almost every time I walk by or drive by, I see people on the benches. We only have 2 benches, but they're being used. And I want to tell you, it's a popular place to drive by. You can see another picture of the finished product over on the right. The benefits were the dollars saved on water and maintenance. So it was really great that we were able to get a $59,000 rebate on that whole project. So it took care of about a third to a half of the cost of the project. So that was wonderful. We got the rebate from El Toro Water. Right now, they have cleared off a place in cul-de-sac 343. It's a very small area. Next slide, please. Oh, I was getting it. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about 343 cul-de-sac. At first, the committee was looking at a big patch of grass down there on the corner of 343 and Bahia Blanca. But that's just too big of a grassy grass, too much grass to replace. So we're not going to do that. It would be very, very expensive, and we're going to leave that alone. So right now, we're going to concentrate maybe on small plots of land we can do in third. And so 343 right now is in process. Okay, aeration. What I want to say about aeration, there were actually two projects were my favorite this past year. Landscape modernization and aeration. The aeration project has been really wonderful. The grass is really growing. And you can see by what happens with the aeration is actually core aeration. We started that in 2019, and it's been continuing. It's almost finished this year. What it does, it breaks up the compacted soil so the nutrients, the water, and air can enter and enter the soil. A lawn aerator was used, and I can tell you it's made a huge difference in our grass. Now, this winter or fall, Mr. Wayman said that he would be fertilizing the grass, and it's going to make a big difference. So in the springtime, next year, the grass will be even more beautiful than it is now. I can tell you that. Okay, slopes. Next slide, please. You can see the grass. That's just a little corner down there on Buena Vista and Carrizo. Just a small patch of grass. I took a picture as I was going by. Next slide, please. Okay, slopes. That's one of our larger annual expenses. You can see we have 119 acres to maintain at approximately $850,000 a year. Right now, our work is contracted on the larger slopes. And Mr. Wheeling was able to negotiate with the union to get most of the tree workers taken care of. And we kept, I think, 7 or 8 on staff to do the small jobs on the tree, on the slopes that come up. And well, no, I think that was on the trees. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Anyway, but the slopes, this is really a big, big ongoing project, and it never ends. So that's one of the biggest calls that I get of complaints around is from the slopes, because it's impossible to keep all of the slopes beautiful at one time. You have to realize that's not going to happen. If you want to go to the next slide, please. The small, I started to talk about that. The small work is done the small slope work is done in-house. And sometimes some of the guys are out there replanting in the areas after they were cleared off. Some of the areas need replanting from time, from time to time. Fire risk reduction is real critical in vulnerable areas. So you have the areas over by the wilderness park that are the perimeter of the Bahia Blanca, and it's really a big deal, the fire reduction areas. And we pay a lot of money for slopes, and Mr. Weeman is always meeting with the fire department. Every few weeks, he has a meeting with fire. Excuse me. So he's out there. There's a place down on El Toro now where the trees, I think there were not large trees, but anyway, they got honeysuckle was growing up and intertwined in the trees. So they had to be removed. So the people living down there on the southwest of El Toro, they have a terrible view. They've got a view of El Toro. So they have no safety security. So Mr. Wayman has made a plan that he's going to be planting approximately 100 hedges or trees down there that will grow pretty fast and give those people down there some safety and security, feeling of safety and security. All right, next slide, please. As I was saying, trees is one of our largest expenses, almost $1 million a year. The trees are trimmed by species in a 1 to 5 year cycle, and most of the tree work is contracted out too. Like I was saying earlier, I was talking about slopes, but I mean, the trees. Mr. Wheeman negotiated those tree workers, to the union tree workers we've got now, only 7 or 8 left on staff. They're pretty highly paid workers, but we kept them because, as you can see, here's a tree here, and this is over on Punta Alta, and it is a fig tree that has grown up inside the other tree, and it's actually has fruit on it. Next slide, please. The landscape staff handles a lot of the unscheduled pruning, the service requests, dead tree removal, and trimming around the lights. The reason I show you this one, it's on the corner again of Buena Vista and Carrizo, is that light pole. I drive that corner a lot of times. I come down from Carrizo, from Clubhouse 5. Excuse me, I have a hard time talking. And that light pole, I watch it all the time because those trees grow really fast around the light pole. So this is just an example. I didn't want to give you a lot of pictures of trees because you know how beautiful our trees are here in the village. We have just absolutely beautiful trees. And I think in Third, we have over 12,000 trees, not counting the fruit trees. We've got several thousand fruit trees. So we're on a march to try to get rid of as many fruit trees as we can to help with the mice and rat population, to get rid of them. Okay, next slide, please. Grounds maintenance. This was a big budget item, as you know. We have 83 shrub bed acres, and the crews work each section quarterly. They maintain the shrubs, the weeds, edging, replace dead plants, and the edging is moving in a new direction by killing the grass around the water meters and grass edges with glyphosate. Remember, that's what we replace Roundup with. So when you see that dead grass on the edges of the water meters and the edges of some of the properties, you'll see that it's been killed with glyphosate. So the ground crew doesn't have to worry about edging because a lot of people want a lot of edging done. All right, next slide, please. Okay, the tub grinder. This was a video, but we weren't able to show that to you today. But this is our tub grinder, and I tell you, it really put it to work. I think it cost over $700,000, a big capital item. But the old tub grinder was, I understand, was about 20 years old. So this thing has really been put to work since we got it. And I think it was our first quarter of the year, or the last of December, I'm not sure, but somewhere around that time frame. So the first quarter of the year, they were really grinding up a lot of mulch, a lot of trees and compost and debris they had over there, things that you would naturally mulch. And they had a lot of mulch. But I want to talk about the ground maintenance crew for a minute. You know, they send the crews out about eight crews quarterly. So they go around to the different areas and they cut and weed and all that, trim. And if you go around when you see a ground crew has just left, you'll see how beautiful the area is. But I'll tell you, in this growing season, like spring and summer, if you go 1 month later, you're seeing weeds everywhere because they just can't keep up with the weeds by doing it quarterly. So they do the best they can with the crew they have, because landscape used to have 200 people, 200 employees. Now they're down to about 140. But that's why we do a lot of contracting, because we don't have the employees and the staff to do all the work that needs to be done. So just keep in mind when you're driving around and you see a place that's full of weeds, it's probably on the schedule to be worked on pretty shortly. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, I was able to show the video. That's the end. Anyway, it gives you an idea. That was a big capital item. That was something we really, really needed. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, what I want to talk to you about here is the landscape manual. The landscape manual is one of the nicest things that we've had, and Grant's going to be able to get it up on the screen for a moment, but I'll just show you here as best I can. Oh, there it is. Nice. Okay. This landscape manual is so full of so much information, it's unbelievable. So my landscape committee worked with me last year, and Kurt, and we all worked together, and we updated the manual in 2019. So now that it's on the village website, Mr. Wayman is able to upgrade it in a timely fashion. So he keeps it upgraded, and it's just unbelievable what a resource this is. So I want you to make sure that you try to look at it and refer to it, because you really need to refer to it. It's a lot of things. It tells about the role of the resident. You have the tree program, the pest control program. It tells you how to reach resident services. It gives you the landscape form so that you can ask to request some situation be taken care of the landscape. Anyway, just please look up the landscape manual online. You'll really enjoy it. Okay, next slide. And this is a map on the website, also our website. Our website is growing, it's so wonderful, but overall, but the landscape, they put extra things on here, and this map is wonderful. Next slide. Okay, so if you look at this page when you get on the website, you'll see the landscape schedules. And you'll see the schedule maybe for your area. So it's real important to look at that. Next slide. And there's your form. Okay, last but not least, next slide. I wanted to show you Liso Creek, only one view. And the reason I did this is just to end up on a fun note. But I want you to take a closer look at the lower right-hand corner with that turtle on the rock. If you look to the left, you'll see two turtles in the bushes there on the bank. Those three turtles, I walked by there sometimes and saw all three turtles on that rock. But those are protected, and I think they're going to try to do something to even protect them further, the turtles we have. But it's a beautiful place, a beautiful walk, and Third Mutual, even though it's not in Third Mutual, Third Mutual and residents get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So with that, I'm going to conclude my presentation and hope you keep landscaping in mind for future. Any questions you have, you can get back to me at some point in time, and thank you.
Thank you, Lynn, very much. If you have questions that you have to ask today, we'll talk with her when she does her committee report update. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go on to item 7. It's the open forum. Do we have any input or any questions from the audience?
Yes, thank you, President Parsons and esteemed members of the board. We do have one member comment. It's from Bethany Gilboard, matter number 23912E as in Edward. The comment is, I reside at matter 23912E and would like to address the current Gardenville exterior paint project that began August 3rd of 2020. When someone from your staff had hand-delivered the 2 letters to me regarding the projects, I asked if he knew how long it was all going to take, as the loud beeping noises from the equipment is extremely loud. He said it could conceivably take until the end of 2020, possibly earlier. Myself and many others in my building have spoken about how intolerable the loud beeping noises from the lift they're using are, and that is going on Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Considering that we were in this pandemic crisis where we need to be staying home as much as possible, and more so now as positive cases started rising again here in Orange County in Laguna Woods Village, This becomes more of an issue for the residents. I understand the village is a very big place, that there are many other projects either taking place now as well, or are scheduled to begin on particular timetables. My windows and balcony are facing the courtyard and compass number 2389 and 2390, where the workers have been. My balcony has been my main outdoor and favorite place to be during this pandemic. I'm unable to be without there now while the men are working. I have to close all my windows and sliding doors because the noise is deafening. I can't imagine how much louder it is going to be when they're actually working on 2391. The noise intermittently stops, and I feel I'm going to be getting a peaceful reprieve, but instead of the workers are talking back and forth at very high volume. When they arrive around 7:50 a.m., they're out there talking in loud voices back and forth to each other across the parking lot. This is not considerate to the residents here and surely can be moderate. To add insult to injury, we now have more than one beeping lift in operation. Working from home, I cannot hear or be heard when on the phone or on Zoom meeting. I spoke with Becky Jackson and Melody Thomas, and both agreed during the calls that the noise was extremely loud. I was suggested to me that both of them send this email along to you. My main question appeal is this. In light of the current pandemic crisis, can this project be postponed, put on hold, maybe in a month or so? Orange County could curb the flattening of the coronavirus. Possibly more places would open up, which then gives us an opportunity not to be struck inside trying to endure the incessant noise. Thank you for your time and consideration for my and others' right to quiet enjoyment of my home. Sincerely, Bethany Gilbert. That is all. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to turn to Ernesto. Do you have any comments on this, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members, staff. Just wanted to let you know that as you are aware, we've restarted all of the major programs within the mutual. The COVID-19 resolution is uncertain, to say the least. So we don't want to put maintenance of your assets on hold while we find a resolution to the pandemic. So that's going to be ongoing. So what we've done is put together protocols to continue to provide the services and continue to provide the maintenance to your assets, to all of the member assets. And as such, we're restarting these programs. We are being considerate of the fact that all of our members are staying home during this trying period, and we're doing everything we can to minimize the impact to them. Nonetheless, there's certain things that we have to do. I know that the member alluded to the beeping noises. As you know, OSHA requires construction vehicles, to have those beepers to prevent injury to workers out there. So, but we're doing everything we can to minimize the impact that we will. I don't anticipate that this will go on through the end of the year. I think that the schedule is much tighter than that. But again, we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately, it does require us to make noise, to raise a little bit of dust, but we're trying to expedite the work as much as we possibly can. Okay. Jeff, do you have any further comments on this?
No, just to reiterate what Ernesto said in this, the activities obviously are starting up again with regards to the direction that we received, and trying to do our best with the knowledge that we have more individuals that are staying home. And so we will continue to work with those protocols that Ernesto mentioned.
Okay. We do appreciate the patience of our residents. But like was said, there are certain things that we just have to keep moving with. And especially since we don't know how long the COVID-19 is going to last, could be here with us for quite a while. And we have certain maintenance things we have to do. So we'll try to minimize the impact on you as much as possible. So stay in touch with us, folks, you residents. Let us know how you're doing. and we'll work with you as best we can on that. Any other comments anybody wants to make on this for Bethany Gilbert? Okay, we'll move ahead then, and thank you, Bethany, for calling in and letting us know what your situation is. Let's move ahead to item 9, the CEO, COO report, please.
Yes, good morning, board. Members, I have three quick things, then an introduction. I'm going to turn it over to Ernesto to introduce a couple of our new staff. Real quickly on COVID-19, just wanted to get you caught up that we had, as of yesterday, 268 cases reported in Orange County. Laguna Woods is still at 47. Which has actually creeped up a couple of numbers in the last couple of days, but we're at 47, which still is one of the lowest in communities in all of Orange County. So that's good news. The positivity rate, another good news, has gone down to 6.8%. That is below the 8% threshold that the state is looking for, although that everybody would like to see a positivity rate under 5%. We are still on the state watch list for Orange County is still on the state watch list. Probably will be there for a little while. It's not just positivity rate, it is also the number of cases per 100,000, which we are still quite a ways above the threshold that the state's looking for. But the good news is on the other side of the equation is our hospitalization rate has gone down in the last 3 or 4 days with rolling average of a -3% in hospitalizations. That's the good news. And our ICU numbers are above the threshold as far as the number of beds being occupied. We had 132 people in ICU, which leaves us above the threshold that the state wants with regards to availability of beds. So I wanted to just mention that real quick. Also wanted to reiterate what President Parsons mentioned is Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning, we have our version 2 televised budget meeting. I've been working with the board and appreciate all the efforts from the board members and finance staff putting this together, and we'll look forward to the presentation on Thursday. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Ernesto so he can introduce a couple of the new key staff members that we have brought on board. Ernesto?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and CEO. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce our staff to you. We have been, as you know, hurting a bit. We were without 3 managers for quite a while, and we are slowly but surely bringing folks on board that are quality individuals. We'd rather take our time to bring in people that we really think will make a big difference to the organization, rather to just fill the spot to get the work completed. So the first, there are actually 3 areas that have we've been doing without a manager in. One is our manor alterations and resale inspections area. This is a very, very critical area for the community because it expedites the improvements to our manors, as well as the resale process, both of which are very critical to the viability of our community. In the manor alterations and resale inspection area, we've had a vacancy for a couple months, as well as in the damaged restoration area. We still have not been able to find a candidate that we're comfortable bringing in for the damaged restoration area. And then the other area that is being without a manager is the maintenance operations area, another very critical component of the organization. The maintenance operations area handles a number of very critical programs for you, including the pain program and the prior to pain program. These are the 2 largest programs in the community. Also the carpentry, the general maintenance, all of the interior components, the fumigation programs, your building signage, just a large number of critical areas within this division. So we are very fortunate, and today I'd like to introduce to you the members that we've brought on board. The first one I would like to introduce to you is Mr. Ravi Dancost. Ravi comes to us with an excellent experience in the field of construction. Ravi is a registered architect in the state of California. He's had over 25 years of experience in the industry. He's been involved in all phases of commercial, retail, mixed-use residential projects, office building, and parking lot structure construction. So he brings a wealth of information for the manor restoration and resales area division. He's already hit the ground running. He's looking at streamlining the processes. As you know, we have a very cumbersome process for manor permits in the community, and because it involves the city, so it's a two-step process, and because of the multiple resolutions and requirements for the mutuals, all of which needs to be implemented as people come to the counter. So Ravi is already looking at in all those areas and making a big difference in streamlining the process, working with the Architectural Control Committee to bring all this process together and to review them and to put them together into forms that can be easily digested by those who are looking to do alterations in the community. So Ravi has already hit the ground running, and I want to, again, I don't see where's Ravi. Ravi, if you could turn on your camera so they can put a face to the name. If not, there he is. You can remove your mask, Robbie, so they can get a good look at you.
I've got Gavin in the office just in case there were some other questions on items, so that's why I'm wearing my mask. But good morning, everyone.
So, board members, Robbie's going to be housed at the community center. He's currently on the second floor, but we are remodeling the Pine Room, where all of the manor alterations and resale inspections will be housed. And eventually Robbie will be heading down there and taking over his spot down there. I also want to introduce the other area that we've been doing without a manager is the maintenance and construction, the maintenance operations division at the yard. As you know, this is our largest division. Houses quite a few staff members, particularly in the paint and prior to paint area. So we've been very fortunate to have brought this gentleman on board. His name is Sean Lewis. Sean holds a bachelor's of science degree in construction management, and he has over 17 years in the industry, with the last 10 years as a regional maintenance manager and capital projects manager. He also has experience working with residential housing boards and committees. He is well-versed in budget planning and implementation and running programs similar to the programs that we provide here in the community. So if I could, there he is, Sean. Like I said, Sean is at the maintenance center, and he'll be managing the largest division within the construction management department. Sean has already hit the ground running. He's got a couple of areas that he's addressing already. He's looking into the paying and prior to paying cycle change. He's also having to restart a program after the furloughs, and he's also instituting protocols for staffing and for the programs to proceed in the community due to the COVID-19. So both of these managers are already knee deep in issues and challenges. They both came in and kind of at the tail end of the budget process, so they're both trying to catch up with that as well. So just a number of things that they're already doing, and they're already showing a big difference in the divisions that they're in charge of. So with that, I'd like to welcome both of them. And if you have any questions for either one of them, this is the opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Welcome aboard, folks. Glad to have you, and wish we could have had you a couple months ago. But it's good to have you here now.
Yeah.
So stay in touch with us, and we'll work with you just as much as possible and give you a heads up on things. And if you would do the same with us, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have for you this morning.
Okay. Jeff, do you have anything more on your report?
I don't, but I know Siobhan has some additional information.
Honorable President, members of the board, I'm happy to give you a few updates this morning, please. The first is about the Flex Alert that President Parsons mentioned at the start of the meeting. The California ISO, the independent system operator, issued a statewide Flex Alert. This means that the electricity supply margins are tight. The Flex Alert calls for voluntary electricity conservation through tomorrow, Wednesday, between the hours of 3 and 10 p.m. each day. Consumers are asked to shift energy use to morning and nighttime hours and are reminded that consumer conservation lowers demand and may avoid future actions by the ISO, including rotating outages. As President Parsons mentioned, we had one rotating outage over the weekend. That was Friday evening for about an hour. So again, we encourage everyone to conserve electricity during this time. If you want to receive direct updates from Flex Alert, you can register at their website, which is www.flexalert.org. I also want to remind our residents that temporary coin distribution is available for laundry service during this time of shortage. Distribution occurs on Thursday and Fridays at Clubhouse 5 for Third Mutual residents. The hours are 8 a.m. to noon or until the supply runs out. Residents are limited to 1 10-roll of quarters and must pay with exact change in paper currency. The allocation may be expanded later to allow a greater amount of coins to be purchased at one time. Again, this is in its infancy, so we want to make sure that everyone has access to the supply. I also want to mention that the annual paving and concrete repair project is now underway. Parkway concrete improvement started in various areas of the community last week, and in September, asphalt overlay will occur in Third Mutual. This includes cul-de-sacs 216 and 306, as well as Ray del Sol and Vista del Mundo. The contractor will post notices 2 weeks and 48 hours in advance of pavement work. And just a reminder that residents should have received a notice from the El Toro Water District on a noticed public hearing on proposed water, sewer, and recycled water rate increases. The public hearing will be held on Thursday, September 24th at 7:30 a.m. The location will either be in the district boardroom or the meeting will be held virtually. Customers may obtain a copy of the cost of service rate study on the district website, which is www.etwd.com. Just a reminder also that there will be drive-in movies at the Village Drive-In this Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. This will occur at the Village Maintenance Center. Friday's feature is Call of the Wild, and Saturday's movie is Yesterday. The cost is $10 per car, and reservations and tickets can be purchased from the Recreation Department by calling 949 949-597-4282 between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. And that concludes my updates this morning. Thank you.
Oops, I think we're jammed a little bit. Could you repeat the number, please? We didn't hear it.
For the Village Drive-In, 949-597.
Siobhan, you're muted too, please.
Grant?
President Parsons, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Grant.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. The telephone number for the drive-in?
Yes, go ahead, Siobhan.
949-597-4282. Again, that's 949-597-4282 to purchase tickets for the drive-in.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm glad you covered the rolling power outage because you may notice I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. This month has given me the opportunity to switch over from a tie and jacket to my wardrobe here I have of Hawaiian shirts, and it's fun for me to do that. So I would encourage anybody to cool off and wear your Hawaiian shirts. Okay, any comments from board members to staff on any of the topics covered?
So, Steve, you really needed an excuse?
Yeah, I did. My wife is not so much in favor, but I convinced her. Okay, let's move ahead to item 10, the consent calendar. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I so move.
Second.
Okay.
I move.
Ready? Any comments or questions about any of the topics? Okay, we'll consider that approved on a unanimous consent and go on to item 11, unfinished business. And I'll turn it over to our secretary, Lynn Jarrett.
Okay. The recommendation is to approve the proposed alternate heat source policy for alterations and in the resolution as was read at the last board meeting. This resolution has passed its 28-day requirement, and I'm asking for a motion to approve this resolution.
So move.
I'll second. Okay, any comments or questions on this? Okay, hearing none, we'll consider it good by unanimous consent and go on to 11B, please.
This resolution was for a smoke-free building designation policy and procedure, and this was brought forth and approved at the last board meeting, and now it has satisfied its 28-day requirement. Do I hear a motion to approve this agenda item, this resolution?
I so move. I'll move to, okay. Any other comments or questions on this? Okay, hearing none, we'll consider it approved by unanimous consent. And let's go on to item 12, new business. Go ahead, Lynn, on this too.
All right, this is a recommendation to deny tree removal request at 2379D via Mariposa West for one silk oak tree. The committee, the landscape committee, decided that this was not a viable solution. It's just to remove the tree. It's not a poisonous tree, and it doesn't meet the qualifications set forth in our guidelines for tree removal. And we're following the staff recommendations. And do I hear a motion to deny this tree removal request?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions about this? Okay, we'll approve this by unanimous consent as well. Okay, item 12B.
This resolution is to endorse the Residency Policy and Compliance Committee's recommendation to increase the annual income requirement for guarantors. To this point, the guarantor's income needed to be $80,000. The committee recommends to increase this income requirement to $150,000. Do I hear a motion to approve this recommendation, this resolution?
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it, and it goes on 28-day notification to the membership. So if anybody has any comments or questions, please let us know soon. Thank you very much.
Steve?
Okay, yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I abstain from voting on this.
Okay. Okay, this is just on notice right now, so a formal vote will be taken at the end of 28 days for full approval.
Got it.
Okay, on to item 12C.
12C, this is a resolution to adopt the amended rules for board meetings. The language is spelled out in this very long document here, but the committee recommends that we approve this amended board meetings rule. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
I so move.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay.
Discussion?
Yes, in reading through this, I found at least three areas there where we need to make further clarification. I think it needs to go back to committee for a resolution of these topics. I think there may be some other things that people want to bring up about it. So I move that we table this and bring it back to our next board meeting next month.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on this? We're going to be tabling this till the board meeting next month. Okay, we need to take a vote on this. All in favor, if you would call in and let us know, and Grant can get the count on this. Okay, I'll just, let's see, Annie, let's just start with you. Go ahead and vocalize your vote.
I vote yes.
Okay, Don Frankel? Okay, I see his hand. Robert? Okay, yes. Lynn?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let's see, Doug? We're voting on tabling till next month? Okay. Craig? You're voting also? Okay. There's Ralph. Are you voting for that? Okay.
Yes.
Reza, I don't know if you can call in. I know that you may be on mute, but that's okay. Okay, we have a majority. We'll go ahead and table that till next month. Thank you very much. Okay, on to committee reports. Let's do the report of the Finance Committee. Director Muchnick.
Okay, thank you, President Parsons. I want to start by saying two things. Number one, this is my very first Treasurer's Report, so please bear with me as I worked out some of the kinks in terms of doing this kind of thing. And number two, please keep in mind that all the financial data that I'm going to share with you today is as of June 30th. So we're 45 days past that point in time, and a lot has actually happened in those 45 days. So some of the things I'll be talking about refer to things that are happening now as opposed to back in June, as of June 30th. Okay, slide number one, which you have in front of you, shows actually a very positive kind of position for Third Mutual at this point in time. We have a positive revenue at the moment of $3,728,000. However, again, keep in mind, this is as of June 30th. We've now called back all of our employees. We've started up all of our projects. So that net revenue, while it's positive at the moment, and hopefully will stay positive as we move forward, we're going to be drawing down against some of that revenue for the projects that we've now begun again. All right, slide number two. Please, Grant. Thank you. Slide number 2, if you'll notice, we have assessment revenue of $10 million. We have non-assessment revenue of $519,000. So we have an operating surplus at the moment, as of June 30th, of $630,000. We expect that that operating surplus will continue to grow, but it won't grow at the rate that it's grown for the first 6 months. We expect it to top out about $700,000 by the end of the year. Once again, because of the fact that we brought back employees and we've started up a whole bunch of programs, we still expect there to be an operating surplus, but it's going to be closer by the end of the year of approximately $700,000. All right, slide number 3, sir, if you would, please, Grant. All right. As you can see from this slide, our assessment revenue is actually on track for what we budgeted. Our non-assessment revenue is actually higher than what we budgeted, $1,421,000 versus a budget of $993,000 for a positive variance of $428,000 as of June 30th. If you look at the very bottom line on net revenue, this is what matches from the other slide that you saw. Our net revenue is actually $3,728,000 to the good, as opposed to what we budgeted. Okay. Slide number 4, please. All right. If you remember from the slide we just had, we had a net revenue of $3,728,000. If you'll notice from this slide, outside services represents a positive variance of $3,131,000 of that $3,728,000 that you saw in the previous slide. But keep in mind that these outside services, some of them relate to things like the Siemens project, which had to do with our lighting in the third village, where we finished installing all the lighting. And actually, since June 30th, we've now, in July, paid the bill to Siemens of $765,000. So this outside service variance, which was positive as of June 30th, will probably continue to remain positive, but don't expect it to be anywhere near the $3 million that's currently on the screen from June 30th. And the same is true. Employee compensation, we were in some ways fortunate that we were able to furlough employees during some of the COVID time, but all those employees are back, so we'll now continue to have a drawdown on employee compensation. And if you drop down and look at the unfavorable variance at this point, yes, the unfavorable variance of insurance, $265,000, that's going to keep increasing because our insurance costs are going up. We'll be talking much more about this probably come Thursday when we go over the overall budget, version number 2. That'll be on Channel 6, and members, you'll have an opportunity to weigh in and discuss the overall budget. Fees and charges, where this has an unfavorable variance, this actually represents, these are timing issues related to the fees and charges. Much of that $160,000 represents water intrusion issues that we have addressed on behalf of manor owners, and there's a delay in collecting that money from the manor owners, sometimes as much as a year. But eventually we will probably see that $160,000 dramatically decrease as money comes in from those water intrusion experiences. All right, Grant, slide number 5, please. All right. This slide shows you that we had total non-assessment revenues of $1,428,000, and you can see the basic breakdown. Investment income was 18%. Unrealized gains on our investments were at 46%. Laundry represented 8%. These are all fairly typical for where we are at this point in time compared to last year. Grant, slide number 6, please. This shows our expenses. Again, remember that much of the positive variance you saw related to outside services, $3,131,000, has not been spent at this point, and that's why outside services is only 22% of the budget at the moment, and that's likely to go up somewhat over the course of the rest of the year. All right, everything else has stayed fairly stable, except for insurance, which is also increasing in costs. Grant, slide number 7, please. All right. This has to do with our overall reserve and replacement funds. If you'll notice that under the first, actually the second column where it says replacement funds, there's an asterisk because that includes our elevator and our laundry funds, where we currently have a total balance of our replacement funds of $18,863,000. In our replacement funds, our disaster fund is in fairly good shape at this point with $8,998,000. Again, that's as of June 30th. Unappropriated expenditures, $4,018,000. And our garden villa has $84,000 in its fund at this point, giving us a grand total of $31,963,000 as of June 30th. Okay. Next puts into perspective a chart from this page. Grant, if you go to number 8, slide 8, the 220 the year 2020 represents a graph of the figures that I just read to you from the current balances on the slide before. And as you'll notice that most of our funds, our situation in terms of fund balances for Third Mutual for 2020 are just about on track and slightly above average from where we've been before. Okay. All right. Slide number 9, our last slide. Our last slide has to do with our resale history. I want to talk to you a little bit about this so that you have an understanding of where we really stand. If you'll notice that our year-to-date we've sold, a number of resales has been 138. Year-to-date last year, we had 186 units, and year-to-date before that was 213 units. So we're down considerably this year in terms of resales, in terms of number of units. The average year-to-date per month is 24 this year compared to 32 for last year. We attribute some of that to the issue of the virus and real estate agents not being able to show units, people not wanting individuals to come into their units, things of that nature. And slowly, for the month of July, we've seen a slight uptick in the number of resales. We're still not where we were last year, but the trend seems to be moving in a more positive direction at the moment. Our average resale price per manor has shown a small increase in July. Okay, and year to date, our resales have averaged about $416,000 per unit, which is actually up slightly from last year. And that concludes our slides, and that concludes our presentation on finance. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Just to bring out about our lease report, we are sitting right at 28%. It seems to be going up over the last couple of months. So I just want people to be aware of that. And I failed to mention that since Director Pearlstone went to GRF, Robert Muchnick is now our new treasurer for Third Mutual. So if you have questions in that area, please don't hesitate to give him a call.
Steve, there's two little things I want to share. Number one is that our next meeting is September 1st at 1:30 p.m. It'll be a virtual meeting. Okay? Actually, only 1:30. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On to the Architectural Standards and Controls Committee. We haven't met since July. Our next meeting is September 28th at 9:30. It'll be a virtual meeting. And one of the things that's happening is Robbie, our new employee that's working with us in this committee, is reviewing our standards. We have approximately 50 standards, and he'll come back with some recommendations for consideration, I'm sure. He's also over the alteration area, so more to follow on that. I'm sure that we will be re-looking at some things that we've done in the past that may have changed due to either new laws or different approaches that we need to take. So we'll be working on that on September 28th. Okay, Reported Communications Committee, Director McCary.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. The Communications Committee has not met since October of last year, and the next meeting is to be announced. However, Third is represented on the Media and Communications Committee, and I do have some information that I will share when I get to that report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Report on maintenance construction, Director Muchnick.
President, thank you, President Parsons. We don't have anything to report from maintenance and construction, except that, as Ernesto indicated earlier, all our people have been brought back. All of our projects have started up. The paint project, things of that nature are all back underway. Paving projects will begin shortly, etc. The next meeting, if you look at your agenda, the next meeting says that it's September 7th. September 7th is Labor Day. So we have moved the meeting for M&C to September 9th, and it will be Wednesday, September 9th at 9 a.m. in the morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Report of the Parking and Golf Court Task Force. I'm the chair of that, and I would like to wait on, excuse me, to have a meeting on this until Robbie and Sean are new employees, kind of get firmly seated in their positions and get everything under their belt. Then we can go and move forward with this. So I'm looking at calling some meetings here in October, November time frame. So people in the wedding cake, be aware that we will be readdressing some issues there, and also starting on some things up in Gate 14. So more to follow on that. Okay, Garden Villa Rec Room Subcommittee, please. Director Jarrett.
All right. We finally got our, just a moment. Our worker, he's really a great worker. Our employee, a staff employee back from furlough, and I think it's only been a week or so. But anyway, he's really working hard now on all the things that he didn't get to do, for 4 months in the rec room. So he's really been working really hard. So we are definitely going to have a meeting in October, but the date is going to be announced. Thank you.
Okay, on to the report of Landscape Committee. Director Jarrett again.
Well, I don't want to say too much because I've already used up a lot of my time today, but I just want to say we had our committee meeting on September the 3rd, on August the 6th, and things are humming along, just normal business, and we all feel good about what a great job Kurt's doing. The next meeting will be September the 3rd at 9:30 a.m.
Okay, thank you very much. Report of Water Subcommittee, Director Karimi. I know you're listening in. Could I drop back to our CEO, Jeff Parker, for a minute? Siobhan, any other word we've heard on water increases or maybe decreases, if at all possible? Could you address anything you've heard from the El Toro Water District?
Certainly. To the board, the El Toro Water District sent out notices to everybody about a rate increase hearing that they will be having in September. The calculations based on the information that we received in that notice, we did include basically like a cost of living increase that absorbs that in our current budget. So when you see the 2021 budget, we have addressed a small rate increase in there. So it's imperative, though, that people that are interested in what El Toro is doing, and if you have a comment with regards to the concerns there, that people will be able to participate. At this point in time, I'm sure the meeting's going to be virtual, but they did notice a time and place for the meeting in September. And I don't have the notice right in front of me, but Siobhan, I think, does, and we'll get you the exact date.
The meeting is Thursday, September 24th at 7:30 a.m. And again, you can follow the El Toro Water District website for information about the rate increase and whether that meeting will be held virtually or in person.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, onward to report of the Resident Policy and Compliance Committee, Director Jarrett.
Well, as you see today, we brought some resolutions forward, and we're working right now on, we were working on the parking decal policy, but we transferred that to the parking task force where it really belongs. So that's in your hands, Steve.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The barbecue rules are in progress, and Ralph Ingdahl, our board member, and Stuart Hack, our advisor, are working and collaborating together to piece that together because there's a lot of work to be had, and we're working on that. And the future agenda items is occupancy requirement prior to leasing. Another item is a guest limit, and we're going to bring back the board meeting rules, and still looking at the lease cap and waiting list rules. Thank you. The next meeting will be, the next meeting will be August 25th at 9:30 a.m. virtually.
Okay, one question for you, and Jeff or Kurt may want to jump in on this. Now that we have all of our new lights in that Siemens has installed, what about the trimming of trees around the lights? Has that been taken care of, or are we still working on that? No, this was of concern to Ernesto.
I know that we, when we were working with Siemens, we had identified all of the trees that needed to be trimmed. So it's my understanding that that is either has been completed or will be completed in the short term.
Okay, if we could get an update on that, that would be great. Okay. All righty, let's go on to Energy Research Group. Director Muchnick.
Okay, the Energy Research Group has not formally met in a while. However, there has been an exchange of information as it relates to a microgrid. There's been some sharing of news articles and things of that nature related to it. Bert Moldow, who is chair of the Energy Research Group, has been spearheading that, and I'm sure there'll be some talk in the very near future about the possibility of a microgrid for Laguna Village. Other than that, the next meeting has not yet been scheduled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to GRF committee highlights. CAC, Director McCary.
Thank you, Mr. President. That committee did meet on August 13th, and just to highlight some of the discussion, the first item, staff did propose some amendments to the recreation and special events policy to include, number one, some facility staff responsibility in managing the day-to-day operations. The other staff proposal also included was exclusive use clause. And what that means is, or what it says is that groups, organizations, and individuals must not allow entertainers, vendors, caterers, and other contracted services entities to sign an exclusive contract agreement, nor shall a statement be included in the general contract agreement when utilizing GRF property. So those amendments were discussed. In addition, there was also a discussion about outdoor fitness equipment. Staff submitted a recommendation to the board to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $120,000 to be funded from the equipment fund for the purchase and installation of an outdoor fitness center on the outside perimeters of the annex open space at Clubhouse 2. The committee listened to a lot of discussion on that, but in the end, the committee felt that more research needed to be done on this project, such as looking at some alternate vendors, looking at some additional locations for the installation of this outdoor equipment. Also, there needs to be some contact with the city in terms of permits and looking at some additional items that need to be considered. So the committee did not approve this staff recommendation, but they also recommended that additional research and additional members be a part of this research team that looks at these additional requirements that the board recommended. Also discussed was some outdoor activities into consideration, like drive-up concerts and other outdoor activities. Nothing was definitely decided, but these are items that are in discussion. Also, there has been a subcommittee formed to look at next year's July 4th activities. And so that committee has already been formed, and more information will be coming forward on that. The next meeting will be September 10th at 1:30, and it will be a virtual meeting. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now the Equestrian Center Ad Hoc Committee, Director Bada, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last meeting of the Equestrian Ad Hoc Committee was held on July 15th. There has been no meeting since our last board meeting. So the next Equestrian Board Ad Hoc Committee meeting is on August 25th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. This will be a virtual meeting too.
Okay, thank you. GRF Finance Committee, Director Muchnick.
I don't have anything to report since I did not attend the last one. If all goes well, I expect to attend the one tomorrow at 1:30.
Okay. GRF Landscape Committee, Director Jarrett.
Yes, we met, I'm looking at the date. We met on August 12th, and the GRF is looking at possibly updating some of the gates next year. They're looking into that. The other thing is looking into the possibility of getting rid of a lot of the cattails in the creek, so that if we did it permanently, it would be wonderful, because then they would be able to create a turtle pond, which they're looking at doing, and make the creek making the creek more open and a natural habitat. So that's all I have to report from GRF Landscape, and the next meeting is to be determined.
Okay, thank you very much. GRF Maintenance Construction Meeting, Director Bada. Okay, Kush, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. President. The last GRF MNC meeting was held on August 12th. Many items were discussed at this meeting. Some of the main items, the notable ones to be mentioned, was the lighting for the employee parking lot. It was discussed, that's on Via Campo. Pilot program for a solar LED light, and that was discussed, and it was discussed that we would go ahead and see if we can get some quotes on that to install that. Many items for the PAC renovation were discussed, but no resolution has formed on that. The next meeting of the GRF MNC committee is on October 14th, 2020. Most likely it will be a virtual meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. PAC Renovation Ad Hoc Committee, Director Muchnick, please.
Okay, I'll address both the PAC Renovation Ad Hoc and the Clubhouse 1 Renovation Committee, since I am representing us on both of those. The PAC Renovation Committee has not met, and at the moment, I don't know of any scheduled meeting at this point in time. So right now, all of that seems to be on hold. However, Clubhouse 1 Renovation Committee is moving forward. That committee is being chaired by Director Moldau from GRF, and the next meeting is actually August 28th. That's going to be a virtual meeting. It's going to be at 9 a.m. To all the members of the committee, they have distributed the architectural plans that were previously drawn up. There is discussion, however, about shelving those plans and possibly hiring a new architect to discuss the Clubhouse 1 renovation. There is also going to be a walkthrough of Clubhouse 1. I believe it's on the 26th for all the committee members, kind of a guided tour to go through the facility and get a firsthand look at everything that's there and some of the things that need to be done. And I'll keep you posted. But right now, the next meeting's August 28th at 9 a.m., virtual meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Media and Communications Committee, Director McCary.
sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. President. The committee did meet on August 17th. It was a virtual meeting. Several items of note. Number one, the new chair, Sue Stevenson from the Tower, was introduced as the new chair of this committee. Another thing was discussed was the Village Breeze that's out, and Eileen Pollan addressed some of the issues with the Breeze still in terms of distribution. There's still a little bit of a lag time with the distribution, mainly having to do with post office and delivery. So Eileen Pollan is going to stay in communication with the post office to make sure that everybody gets the copy of the Breeze in a timely manner. Along those lines, in the Breeze, there is a section for Third Mutual, and there's a really nice article, several articles by Director Lynn Jarrett on preventing mosquito infestation. There is also an article that she has written about the possibility of having a smoke-free building, and that's a resolution that's coming forth, which got some really, really good information. And also, there's an article by Stuart Hack that tells all about the 3-story buildings. So there's a lot of information. There's a section for each of the mutuals, United and Third, but also in terms of communication. So the magazine is out. It's got lots of really good information. It has a map of the village and also some additional information with phone numbers and such that you might need. So if anyone is having any issues and not getting your copy of the Breeze, you're encouraged to call the communications department and let them know. Also, along those lines, there was some discussion about the need to continue distributing the phone books that we normally get. These are not Laguna Woods publication phone books, but they are phone books that are published by a different company. And what has happened of late is because of COVID-19, there has not been a distribution of these phone books. And so the committee has some discussion about whether or not we want to continue distributing these phone books to our residents, especially since these phone books are dropped off at the community center and need to be distributed by staff or by postal service. So there's some discussion about the need to really continue our staff distributing these phone books, or if there could be an alternate location like maybe City Hall, where the publisher could deliver them to City Hall, and then we could let residents know that if they still desire a paper phone book, that they could pick those up at City Hall. In addition to that, let's see what else is on my list here. Also, in terms of the annual elections, the election of officers has been pushed back to coincide with the national elections, so that we'll all be voting one time for the officers and also for our national elections. There was some discussion about what to do in terms of post office delivery of ballots, since there has been some information in the media about post office delivering ballots. So there was this discussion about a ballot drop box located in Laguna Woods City Hall parking area. So more information will be coming forth on that, but residents do have an option to drop off their ballots at City Hall in that drop box. Let's see. And more information will be coming forth on that to let residents know about that. Our next meeting is going to be September 24th, and it probably will be virtual. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Director Frankel.
The vehicle bus usage is significantly down as a consequence of COVID-19. And also the Boost program is impacted. That's where you call in and for a car, and that's significantly impacted also. We discussed vehicle replacement. Every 13 years is the standard for vehicle replacement. we're going to increase our electrical vehicle usage. They've determined electrical vehicles are the way to go. There was a motion to approve that. Our next meeting will be October 7th. And that completes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Security and Community Access Committee, Director Muchnick.
Okay, the Security and Access Community Access Committee has not met since February 24th. However, it does have a meeting scheduled for August 24th at 1:30 p.m. It'll be a virtual meeting. And because of a change in leadership on this committee, I believe either Director Bada or Director Gibson will now be representing us as on that committee. Thank you.
Okay. Disaster Preparedness Task Force, Director Engdahl.
This was going to be my first real report because we did have a meeting, and I was not planning to be here, and I had asked Director McCary to cover me. Annie, do you want to cover this?
Yes, I have some notes from that meeting.
Okay,
So,
go ahead and cover it.
Thank you. The committee did meet on July 28th at 9:30. It was a virtual meeting. Some of the highlights from that meeting, first of all, it was announced that the Disaster Task Force is moving, it's probably already moved now, to the new Globe office in the back of the community center. That way, they are more accessible to people coming in and more visible. So they probably have already moved by now. There was a radio drill that was held on Tuesday morning, July 28th. A total of 15 hand radios were activated, and 12 of that 15 responded loud and clear. So the committee recommended that when they do the radio drills, that there's some suggestions be sent out to all the good neighbor captains in terms of what their responsibility or what role they would play in the event of a disaster. There is still, every year, there is a great earthquake shakeout, and it's on schedule for October 15th at 10:15. This drill is going to be limited to good neighbor captains and how they respond and how they communicate with the command center. So it will not be a village-wide activity as it always has been. So more information is going to be coming forth on that. There was also a report submitted, let's see here. Sorry about that, I lost my place on my notes here. There was also a suggestion that residents go to the FEMA website because there's a lot of training, very simple, basic training that individual can take, and it's offered by FEMA and it's consistent throughout, so that in the event there is an emergency, residents can have some information as to how they can protect themselves. Also, it was brought up that in the event of a disaster, residents who have medical equipment that need emergency power backup need to make sure that they take some action in terms of making sure that they have power. It was brought up that the Disaster Task Force itself is not responsible for making sure that people have emergency electrical backup to support their medical equipment, but that it was their responsibility. So any additional information that residents need about that, they can also get it from the FEMA website or contact their medical provider as to what they can do to back up their medical equipment. But the point was brought out that it really is the resident's responsibility. Let's see, there was one other item. I believe that might be the end of my report. I'm reading through my notes here. And the next scheduled meeting is to be announced. It is to be announced, but I just don't have it.
It looks like
the next scheduled meeting is September 29th. Sorry about that, at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to add, Ralph? Okay.
One comment I would add is there were 3 subcommittees set up to address particular procedures. One was for handling pets in general. Another one was for handling animals down at the stables. And thirdly, there was a committee set up, and I think Bert was going to be head of that, and concerning, and I think you mentioned that, Annie, people depending on electric power for life support. There's 3 committees set up.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's go on to the report of Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings. Director Frankel.
Director Mucic attended the last one. We have another one tomorrow. So
okay.
He'll report.
All righty. Future agenda items. We're on.
Wait a minute. Director Mucic is going to give a report from the last meeting.
Oh, okay.
I gave the report last month about it because the traffic hearings have been just before the last meeting, so there's nothing to update. John will be handling the next one, and look forward to it then. Thank you, John.
Okay. Okay, we're on to item 15, future agenda items. Anybody have any additions that they would like to make to this? Okay, hearing none, I would like to just be sure to announce once again that our budget meeting for next year is going to be held this Thursday at 10 a.m. It's televised. So if you want to make a comment or something like that, please join us for that meeting. Also, we have gone through some changes on our board as well as GRF has. So because of that, we've made new committee assignments, and that should be on our website very soon. So we would ask you to take a look at that and contact the applicable people that you want to give your comments to. Another thing was that since Director Prostone went to GRF, we have an opening. We've decided to keep that in line with the election of officers coming up this fall. And we want to announce that this month, the month of August, is when you can pick up your candidate package from Cheryl, our corporate secretary. So be sure to get that if you want to run for a board position on Third Mutual. Also, if you would like to serve on a committee, also give that information to Cheryl, and we will get back with you on that. So that being the case, I'd like to go around for directors' comments or questions. Start with Kush. Any comments or questions?
No, everything's fine. Thank you to the staff for giving us all the updates on COVID-19. Especially Jeff does a great job of telling us about the COVID-19.oc health.com, info.com or whatever it is. However, I want to mention that there is a thing for the world. If you want to check what's going on in the world, there's a place called worldometer.com. And that gives you the infections for each and every country. Apart from that, stay well, everybody. Stay safe and healthy, and stay cool. It's very hot out there.
Okay, Annie? You're muted?
Yes. What I was going to say is it was also brought up at the Communications Committee meeting that the census takers are going to be out and about, and they're going to be in Laguna Woods. I'm not quite sure of the date of that. But anyone who has not already filled out their census data, you're encouraged to do that. And if you haven't done it, they will be going door to door, the census takers. They will be wearing masks, and they will be wearing proper identification. So if someone comes to your door and claims to be a census taker, please make sure that you verify who they are. And also, it's really important that you do submit your census data to them. The other thing is, like Director Bada said, it's really warm outside. Encourage everyone to stay cool, stay safe, and stay hydrated. Thank you.
Good. One comment on the census. I passed a lady who is a census taker last week, and she actually had a little briefcase with her that had the insignia of the census on it. So they are out and working. Okay, John Frankel.
Nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, Director Muchnick.
I just want to thank two people specifically who have helped me as I've tried to become more accustomed as your treasurer. Betty Parker, who's the CFO, and Chris Swanson, who works in the finance department. Both of them have been absolutely wonderful in terms of answering questions and guiding me through some of the ups and downs so far. So thank you to them. To everybody else in the community, please stay safe and healthy and stay comfortable in this heat wave. Thank you.
Okay, Director Jarrett.
I want to thank Elise Rothrock from Communications for helping me with the slide presentation for landscape update today. She did a terrific job. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Grant for his help on the presentation today. Thank you, Grant and Elise.
Okay, Director Gibson. You're on mute. Doug, there you go.
I'm getting there.
Any final comments? You're muted. You're still muted. There you go.
There we go. Hey, really appreciated Lynn's presentation and all the work that's being done with the landscaping area. I think that's wonderful for the whole community in addition to Third Mutual. Obviously, it's nice to get caught up on a lot of the news and everything else cooking. Congratulations to all of your efforts on it. I'm trying to stay in contact as best we can, but we're headed towards the hot weather of Colorado region. So good luck to everybody. Stay healthy.
Thank you, Doug. Director Wayne, any comments?
Yes. When talking about Lynn's presentation, she should have had more pictures. That place is looking so great that unless you're there or have more pictures, you can't appreciate it. Thanks, Lynn.
Okay. Director Engdahl.
I just pass on a couple of comments on how good the trees look lately. And other than that, keep cool. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Reza, if you can talk, we'll give you a second here. You might not be able to. Okay. Jeff, do you have anything imparting?
No, nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. Siobhan?
No, thank you.
Okay. Wei Ming?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rosemary?
I have a question for Annie. She talked about the disaster preparedness office. Where did the newspaper go?
That's a good question, Rosemary, and it was not mentioned in the report where the Globe staff went. So I don't know if Siobhan or Jeff might have some feedback on that.
Oh, okay, thanks.
They have vacated the offices. They have broken their lease with us, just so you know.
Okay. Thank you for that, Eileen. Okay. Raquel?
I just have, what are we doing with the polls, Annie? Are they going to be open for voting here, or we're just having a drop-off box?
I believe that the polls here have been closed for a while. That was announced last year. And maybe Jeff and Siobhan might have a little bit more detail about that. Do you know?
I'm sure if the question is regarding voting for the boards, or if you're talking about the national election. If you're talking about the national election, the Orange County elections registered voters are working towards looking at locations to have voter locations. As you know, they went to a new process in which they are now allowing people to vote over a period of 5 days as opposed to just 1 day. And those locations are more condensed in looking at it. So they're looking at City Hall They did make a request for us to look at opening a clubhouse. We have responded at this point in time that we have concerns, so we want to know what their protocol would be with regards to safety and what they would need. They did request us to evaluate Clubhouse 7, so we're waiting for input back from them, but there is certainly some concerns on my behalf for the whole village to open up Clubhouse 7, which would be open to the community, not just for our residents. So I do have some concerns with that unless they have appropriate protocol to keep it very safe and secure. With regards to voting for boards, Siobhan may have an updated information with regards to that, but we'll be working with Cheryl obviously on that.
All I have is that we're underway and information is available for interested applicants. Most importantly, they can contact the corporate secretary's office to get an application to run for the board.
Okay, thank you. Reza, I see where you're trying to unmute here. Are you available? Okay. Eileen, do you have anything for us? Last comment?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Kurt, I think you're still on. Any comments you want to make? Okay, possibly not.
Doug keeps
Doug,
waving his
you have
hand.
a comment I think he wants. Go ahead, Doug.
Just one final thing with the disaster task force, and the Globe has never really given us a real good shot of that during the first or second week before the event. And you that are involved with the disaster task force, is there somewhere or another you can get to the new Globe people and have them really give us a good blast on, what disaster task force, the captains, and all the rest of the things? I think it would be very beneficial to the whole community. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Well, I thank everybody for being here, and we'll take about a 15-minute break here and reconvene at 11:30. We'll keep this side up. So we thank everybody. Be safe. Like was said, hydrate as much as possible, and thank you so much. Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Want to change links?